The JSE is dominated by a number of large companies such as British American Tobacco, SAB Miller, Naspers and BHP Billiton. Now, as their performance dominates the headlines, it is often easy to overlook some smaller companies that are star performers. In studio to discuss some of these companies is Finweek editor Jana Marais. Jana, thanks for your time. These smaller companies, the star performers, what criteria do you use to define what a star performer is?
Well, we looked at a number of things. We kind of decided to throw the net wide open. So we really looked at companies that have a very strong financial performance rather than their share price performance. Because I think often, because they're so under the radar,
Yes,
they don't dominate the headlines, they don't get a lot of love and attention, especially from the big fund managers, or they don't have analysts covering them. So we really looked at that as the first point of call, was that the financial performance must be quite good. And then we looked at things like, are they paying dividends, which is always a good sign that, you know, things are going well. And we didn't really have a market cap requirement either. Most of them are around the 2 billion rand market cap, but we've got some as small as 300 million rand. So it's really small. It's not the Anglo-Americans and the BHP Billitons of the world, but there are quite a few interesting ones that came out, and across a range of sectors. So yeah, it was quite an interesting exercise to do.
just to name a couple, I mean, what are some of
Okay,
these ones?
so one of my favorites is Holdsport, which is the holding company for Sportsman's Warehouse and Outdoor Warehouse. And maybe it's because I like to shop there as well. But you know, they in the retail sector, they've got quite a nice niche. It's a high-end niche market. You're probably still going to go buy a new tennis racket or new running shoes, even if you're a little bit broke and not buying, I don't know, new work clothes.
Yes.
And I think they're not very dependent on credit sales. So in the current environment, that's maybe a plus. They are strong cash flow generation, high-end customers. So and they've got a strong track record. So that's quite a nice one. It's not a massive company, but they've been doing well, and they're quite cheap in terms of if you look at what other retailers are trading at.
Well, if we get
And then
this-
there's Adapt IT, really across sectors. Rolf's Holdings, which we saw bring out good results yesterday. Rhodes Food Group, so quite an interesting mix of companies.
Okay, and if you want to know more, you can obviously get yourself a copy of that, or get
absolutely.
it online. You find out what else. But you looked at dividends. The fact that it is paying a good dividend is always good. A track record, but these smaller companies, one would say they're a bit risky in terms of investment. Is that not the case?
Yes, look, I think there's also, you know, if you're a pensioner, you're probably not going to put all your money into Rolf's Holdings. So you have to be realistic about what you prepared to lose. I think one of the big risks we haven't talked about is that their shares are not always very liquid. So Holdsport's great share, but if you have to find some to buy some as well. So that is, you know, dividends. Not all of them are paying dividends. So if that's something that you feel strongly about, then probably you want to look at larger companies that's blue chips, and that's you know, that's got a better record in terms of that. But I do think I had a very interesting discussion actually earlier this week with a former editor of Finweek, who's now in his 80s, and he says because he loves playing the market and he loves these companies, he's apportioned himself a very tiny portion of his overall portfolio, which he is allowed to use to buy small caps and dabble in these things. But the bulk of his pension is quite safely invested in bigger companies. So I think that's something we can look at. You know, if you are interested in these companies and you like to know what's going on in the market, give it a small amount of money and play around with it. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Those are the words of Wayne McCurry, regular that we have. Thanks so much, Jana. That was Jana Marais. Of course, she's the editor of Finweek. As you've heard it, you do not have to just look at the blue chips. There are some stars that are currently under the radar. We're taking a short break, but when we come back, we analyse the first half of South Africa's major banks. Stay with us.